It'll. Huh. Aloha, everyone, and I hope that we are live. Okay, I am checking the timer here, and it is live. Welcome to the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast. And forgive us for being a little bit late, but this is life, and that's how it goes. So we're gonna start, we're gonna continue from here. Oh, I just love it. This is what live looks like, real life from the beginning. My name is Michelle Ivala Rosa Kawano, and I am your host here on the show. And today we have a powerhouse guest, and she is beautifully grounded. And I love the fact that, this is the way it is because we are, like I said, we had so many issues, from internet issues to a car alarm outside. It is real life. So we have Alicia Fuentes, and she is a quiet leadership specialist with nearly three decades of experience in high stakes corporate environments, including the oil and gas industry. She is a top 50 finalist in the Next Top Speaker tournament and the creator of the Calm Authority model. She helps professionals and organizations step into leadership that doesn't demand attention but commands respect. Oh, I like that. If you've ever felt overlooked, underestimated, or like you lead differently from the loudest voice in the room, this conversation is for you. So let's talk story with Alicia Fuentes. Alicia, I love that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast. How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm breathing a sigh of relief. First of all, thank you for having me on the podcast. And I'm breathing a sigh of relief because at one point there, I know we were not going to do this today. Everyone, as Michelle said, my internet of all days started to get trouble today. And fine, thankfully, my provider on my phone is a different provider, so I am doing this by my mobile phone. But happy to
uh,
be here.
so good, so good. Even if we have to switch to the phone or whatever, I'm just so glad that you're here because I
Thank
always
you.
believe that when there's something preventing a conversation, I feel like there must be something great that we're going to be saying, and there's something that somebody's going to need to hear. And I'm a Christian, so I believe that the enemy likes to play games. So
Very
I
true. I do believe that everything that we're going to speak about today, this that happened just before, is a real test of my calm authority.
know.
Precisely what I have been trying to embody day by day.
So good, so good. So, everyone, I just want to let you know that if we have to hop off and hop back on, that is just the way it's going to be. If the internet doesn't hold, but you know what? We will get this done because I know that this is something that needs to be done. I know that Alicia has a lot to share. So, before we hop into the Aloha Always framework that ties all of my guests together, that is the one thing that ties everyone in during the interviews. I've interviewed people now all over the world, and using the Aloha Always frameworks just keeps us all on time, and it just brings out the
Yeah.
best in everyone. I love seeing how everyone walks in aloha in their own way. But let's hear about you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became the quiet leadership specialist?
Yes. Um, so that thank you again. And even the title Quiet Leadership Specialist has been one that has evolved over time. I would say that there's not been like a dramatic moment for all of this. It was just something that has come about very quietly. Um, After having gone through a redundancy back in toward the end of 2023, I began coaching. And at the start, of course, I was just trying to figure things out, who are the persons I want to serve? What is this whole thing about having a niche? And I was just going at it from every different direction, really and truly. And I just kept coming back to the realization that the woman who I felt that I could support and serve most deeply were really the women who were very much like me. And I think after coming from, as you mentioned at the start, almost 30 years, almost 3 decades of life in the corporate space, for me, moving into coaching seemed very natural. It was something that I always did as part of my job. But here now, in addition to doing that, I was actually becoming an entrepreneur. And no one told me that that was a separate journey by itself. I just knew I wanted to coach. I wanted to help as many women who were similar to me as I can. But along with that came this additional piece of being a business owner, really understanding what entrepreneurship is. And in the midst of all of that, recognizing that the attributes that I had all along, of being a quiet leader, actually still had a big role to play in everything going forward. But definitely the journey has not been a smooth and easy one. There have been many bumps along the way, but the calm authority model, which you also mentioned at the start, which is the model that I developed, it all came as a result of the highs and lows over the last 2.5 years.
Wow, that is so good. Like how things develop. Um, I just know that even when I started out as just helping, like someone from our church needed some help, and I was like, sure, I can help you. And I started helping cleaning people's homes. And then it just
Mm-hmm.
grew from there. It grew from there. And since, oh, hold on one moment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened with my voice, but it just grew from there. And it was like so funny because I felt like since I'm getting paid, shouldn't I be like paying taxes? Or, I just felt like there was
Right.
something else to it, right? And so I thought, I think I'm supposed to make a business or something because I don't think I'm supposed to just get paid and not pay taxes. And
And not,
so,
I, I think
and
the
so
government
I
would be
actually
happy if
became a
more people
business.
thought like you.
Yeah. And so that became a business, and having to learn about that entrepreneurship where you're like, oh, now I have to do this and I have to keep note on things that I buy, and I have to,
Yes.
keep my receipts and everything. So yes, how it just develops, and but it becomes a business, and it, like you said, you just
Absolutely.
wanted to help, you just wanted to help people like yourself, and that is a beautiful thing because that's how I started to. I just wanted to help. My pastor said, "There's someone who needs help." I said, "Sure." And it,
Exactly.
yeah, so that is so good. I love it. All right, so as I mentioned in the beginning, the Aloha Always framework is something that I use with all of my guests, and I want to jump in with that. So, Aloha is Affirmations and actions, leadership and love, overcoming obstacles, health and healing, and acute awareness. And those are the questions that I am going to present to you now because I love seeing how everyone walks in aloha in their own way across the globe. Across the globe. I
Mhm.
have interviewed people in Saudi Arabia, Spain, New Zealand, and Australia, here in the US, and now you. So,
Yes, all the way from Trinidad. To the
Trinidad, yes.
Caribbean.
I have to tell you, I was putting in the time, for our little clip
Yes.
there on Facebook, and I had to put in the time, and I was like, "Where is Trinidad?" Because I didn't know where to put it in for your time zone. So,
Exactly. That I am not surprised by that. There's so many people who are not aware of our tiny island. Um,
uh-huh,
and yeah, when you sometimes I say the name, like I'm in a group session, attending some meeting or so, and I say Trinidad and Tobago, and they don't know. But the strangest thing is, if I say Jamaica, or I say Barbados, or even
uh-huh.
Venezuela, they know those places, which are very close to where I'm at. But most times they may associate Trinidad either with our carnival, which is similar to, like, I guess, Brazil, and they would associate it with cricket, the game cricket itself.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
probably the two main things.
Oh, yeah. Well, my husband, he um, was a championship boxer. And so he traveled around with the Olympic team, going all over the place. He's been to like Cuba and things and boxing all
Right.
over. And so when I asked, I was like, where's Trinidad? And then he said Tobago, or right? Is that how you say it? Tobago?
Tobago. It's Trinidad
Yeah,
and Tobago, two islands. Yes.
yes. And so he knew
Yes.
exactly that. He was like, Trinidad and Tobago. And I was like,
Right.
oh, wow, okay. And then I asked him, I was like, because I'm putting in the time zone. And he said, I think it's
Mhm.
about 6 hours difference from us. I was like,
Right.
look at that.
Exactly.
I could have just
Yes.
asked him instead of trying to use my AI.
That is it. There's the value of him traveling all over the world. He's familiar with all the countries.
Yes, yes. Oh, that was funny though. All right, let's go to affirmations and actions. That is the first A in Aloha. So you talk about calm authority, something that isn't always recognized in traditional leadership spaces. What are the daily actions or mindset shifts that helped you to step into your authority without changing who you are? Uh oh, I think I lost her. Like I said, everyone, we're just gonna be doing this like a hop in, hop out, and I'm gonna turn on the fan because it is hot today in Hawaii. It is warm already, and it is not even 9 o'clock in the morning, but it is warm. So if you hear the fan, that is just why um, it's gonna be on. But it is live. Oh, let's let her back in. Hello.
So it just happened again. We got we got cut off.
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
very embarrassed by this.
Oh,
All
it's
I heard was your. I heard you start with the question around calm authority, and then it went off.
oh no. Well, the question that I was asking, and I was saying that, um, calm authority is something that isn't really recognized in traditional leadership spaces because you don't hear like bosses talk about calm authority. You just don't. I mean, I work with the Department of Homeland Security, and it's That's just not something. But what are the daily actions or mindset shifts that helped you to step into your authority without changing who you are? Because having that and standing on it, that's a huge thing.
Definitely. And you're right. It's not a common term. Even in my own coaching space, I have had to ask myself, okay, women don't just get up in the middle of the night and say, I really want to have calm authority, right? But really and truly, the biggest mindset shift was realizing that calm authority wasn't something that I actually had to build like from scratch, from nothing. It was something that existed within me. And where the time where I realized, this was something that was existing, I didn't have a name for it, but some years ago, I had an expat assignment to Egypt. So imagine little old me leaving Trinidad, pretty much a small island, a dot on the map, and going to Egypt to work. Very male dominated environment. In many cases, I was the only woman in events and meetings and big discussions. And I realized that I had to really embody this calm way, be grounded in the midst of that type of environment. And I did it, but I didn't realize that was like a strength. And later on, one of the things I learned was that I always had this idea that I had to add volume or perform to really be seen as a leader and to be seen as an authority figure. But when I look back, on my career and particularly that time in Egypt, I realized that I could just be this calm individual and still have the authority without having to perform, without having to shout, to be aggressive, to always need to be visible and noticeable, right? So how that transcends into my daily life now, because I'm not in corporate. Are you hearing me still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, okay. It's stay reconnected. I'm so sorry. How this transforms daily, um, especially as an entrepreneur now, is very specific. So my day starts with prayer and meditation. And these two things really ground me. They remind me each day of who I am before the world gets a chance to say who I'm supposed to be, right? And why that is so important is that I found for a very for a period of time, I found that I would just literally get up and going, and my day would be impacted by everything that I saw on the internet. And I realized I had to step back, and that's when calm authority came back into play for me. What was it that I used to do before to be able to really get up each morning and be focused? And that's where prayer and meditation came back to play. I thought because I was out of the corporate space, I didn't need to do that anymore, right? I could just kind of do it when and how I felt. But this has really been instrumental. I would also say that I've had to develop deep breathing. That has become my reset button, because there are times when the old patterns of, that urge to shrink or to over explain, it steps back in, and the deep breathing helps to ground me. But along with that, Michelle, has been things that I would have done over the years, like over explaining in meetings. Now I try to say what I have to say once and say it clearly and trust that it will land, instead of feeling that I need to perform. And another, I guess, daily action or habit that I've developed is recognizing there's more value in being consistent, because consistency helps to create trust, especially as entrepreneurs. People are out there looking at us. How do we differentiate ourselves? And for me, it's showing up every day in a very much calm way, grounded, same, not changing who I am depending on who the audience is. That has really helped me very much. But the hardest shift, if I really were to be honest and say the hardest shift, was moving away, or stopping the desire to have other people validate me.
Yeah.
That was my biggest challenge in my corporate world. I always depended on others to validate who I was as a leader. And now I do my own self-check. So my framework, my model speaks to own your presence, speak with impact, and stand in your power. And every day I own my identity. I ask myself, did I own how I showed up today? Did I speak with those persons who really need to hear from me? And did I stand for something, no matter how small, that is meaningful, that matters, even if I did it quietly? And I think it's the combination of that spiritual grounding and the practical self-check that has really worked for me to lead with calm instead of performance.
That is so good. That is so good. You know, I love that you mentioned Egypt because we were traveling and it is so male dominated, right? And I didn't
Definitely.
know how to, I don't know, behave, I guess. Like what am I supposed to, where, if I just speak up, am I like being disrespectful in their country or anything like that? I didn't know. I live here in the US, so I'm like this is just the way it is. But um there was a time where my husband, we went into one of these museums and you have to put your bags through the metal detector, right?
The scanner.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the scanner.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did that, and he walked off, and he was so excited to get into the museum or whatever that was, and he just walked in and he left his bag, right? He left his bag. I didn't say anything. I picked up his bag and I picked up mine, and we, went off. And the guide noticed, and he was like, "Oh, like I didn't say anything to my husband. I didn't like make him feel like, oh, you forgot your stuff, right? Or anything like that." And then
Right.
as I was just doing me, I didn't, like you saying about performing or anything, like it's that
Yeah.
quiet leadership, right? You just take take that position. And the guide noticed, and he was like referring me to Queen Hatshepsut. I don't even know how to say her name, but it's one of those queens in Egypt where he was saying that she ruled. She was actually the ruler, but because she was a female, it always looked like someone else was ruling, but it was her. And he was like, that
That
is like you.
is that
Right.
is not surprising, because a lot of people believe that all the Middle Eastern countries operate the same way. And one of the things I can say for a fact is that the women in Egypt are not as submissive as other places. And they are allowed to work, as an example. And
Mm,
they come to work, they do their stuff, and they go home, and they still function as the wife and as the mother. So they hold responsibilities. And I think it's such a powerful thing, you know, that they're able to do that. But on the, I guess from the outside, what you see is that male domination. You still see it, even though the women are carrying as much as the load, much of the load
Yeah.
as the guy, um, and maybe even more because she's really the strong parent.
Hmm.
It is very much that is what you see on, you know, on the surface.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't know any of that until he was telling me. So, of course, what do? I come home and then I go and read all about it and all that. And I was like, that is really good. Right. So I love that you mentioned Egypt because that's where that came from. And having that type of leadership, like seemingly in the background, right? That's what it seemed like. It was like, but actually
Exactly.
it was her who actually did most of the ruling. But that is, yeah, so good, so good. And I love the way that you were just sharing with everything that you've gone through. And it is so important to have that in the world. I think there's too many women who feel like that, like they have to perform, that they have to be louder, that they have to over explain because did you even get it? It's like, did you even get that?
Exactly.
And then so I'm gonna repeat it again. I'm gonna explain it again. You know, or it's just the way that they look at you, like I don't know if you really got it. So you want them to reiterate, right?
Correct, correct. So you
Yeah.
find yourself repeating and you're looking at them for that validation again, right? Are
Yeah,
they
yeah.
nodding their heads? Are they saying something? And many times, especially what I would have experienced there, I could be making the best point. If they weren't interested, they just moved along. So I can see why in environments like that, and even for me in Trinidad, it's
Hmm.
a similar situation of women, especially quieter women, no matter how intelligent, no matter what the competency level, are still made to feel like they don't have so much or enough to add as value. And that is why there's that prevalence of women who are performing. I need to be more aggressive. I need to be more assertive. I can't show any weakness. Don't tell me about feminine leadership. That is too soft. Don't tell me to listen to my instincts, right? No, no. And
Yeah.
it's very sad. I feel very sad when I encounter women and they give me their story, and this is, you know, the reality for them.
Yeah, because then it makes you feel like you have to not be you, right? Where's the authenticity if
Yes.
you're trying to be someone else just so that you can be looked at as an equal to someone else, or that your words are valued? But I love that, you say it is who you are. It is that authenticity that actually is who you should be presenting. You shouldn't be hiding it, you know. So that is so good. Oh, I
Very
love
true.
it.
Very
So
true.
the L in leadership and love. Leadership often gets tied to, like we were mentioning before, dominance or control. But
Mhm.
your work reframes that. How do you define leadership through the lens of calm strength and that role? And like, does what role does that self respect and love play in that?
I really like that question because as we've been speaking about what I guess typical or historically leadership, how it has been perceived, or not just perceived really, in reality, what we've experienced, I would say that for most of my career, I unconsciously believed that leadership looked a certain way. You know, everyone around me who were in leadership were assertive, they were commanding, they were loud so that they could be noticed. And I was none of these things naturally. So I spent most of my time thinking that, okay, I could never be leadership material. And the result of that, I should say, is someone who became pretty much a people pleaser. And with that was always that sense of feeling less. So what that translated to was me working harder, being more disciplined, more meticulous about everything that I did, to the point of being a perfectionist. And I felt that I had to earn merit that way, because being able to earn it via just my presence, my natural presence, was not something that was going to happen for me. So all of those years, yes, I was delivering, I was moving up the ladder slowly, but it was not like other people that I saw who were louder and more visible. And I think for me, quiet leadership, or leadership through that calm strength, looks different. And it's really about not having to be dominant or being so visible in the room, making your presence be seen and felt. It's not that. It's about a steadiness. It's about being someone who people can trust. And it's because they can trust you because you're not shifting depending on who's there in the room. You are just that same consistent person. Might seem a little bit boring, but the point is, I think people do like consistency. And I believe that this type of leadership is built on that consistency rather than control built on volume. Now, where the self-respect comes in, it's really at the center of all of it. What I learned is that if someone is treating you poorly, let's just say you have a boss and that boss is treating you poorly, and your first response is to question your worth instead of questioning the behavior of that person, that is not humility. For a long time, I thought that was humility because that's what I did. So I thought I was this humble person, right? But the fact is, that's a self-respect deficit, because you are lacking in that level in terms of that self-respect. And I lived that for many years because I allowed someone else to treat me in a way that made me question, my own competence. And when it comes to the love part, this is the piece I love. That's why I love ALOHA and what it stands for, because the love part, we might think it's leadership. Where does love come into all of this, right? But love really is the foundation of this, because love for yourself is enough to help you to stop shrinking. And the love that you can have for the people that you lead, that's also something that allows you to create a safe space for these people. A place that is not about dominance and performance and fear, but a place where that calm authority is there. So calm authority is not cold or detached. Sometimes people say, but you're saying calm and you're saying authority. They don't seem to fit in the same. But we can have quiet authority, right? We can still have that power, but not in an aggressive manner. So the love part is actually one of the calm authority, I should say, is one of the pieces that really allows you to lead in a loving way, because it says, I trust you enough to not manipulate or dominate you. And I trust myself enough to not need to do that.
So
I
good. I love
believe
that.
those leaders who dominate or manipulate others, they're lacking something in themselves. They don't trust themselves enough to be themselves. So they are always threatened by others who stand out, even quietly.
Yes. Oh, that is so good. I just see that, like, when you say, they're lacking something in themselves. And that is true, because when you are that person who's lacking, you want to find something like, um I forgot what it was called, like, my husband would call it like a small man complex. That's what he called it. So, like, you
Yes,
know
yes.
yeah, right.
Short persons, they
Short
say
man
short man complex.
Yeah,
Yes.
something like that, right?
Yes.
So they have to be aggressive, they have to be pushy, or they have to,
Mm-hmm.
like, perform somehow, because that is the complex that they have. But I just love the way that you're
Yes.
talking about it, where no, people do, they appreciate that consistency. They appreciate that they can really trust you, because you're not performing. It doesn't matter who comes in, it doesn't matter who's in the room, it doesn't matter if you're just you. And they know that they can trust you for being
Yes.
you. And that's one thing that I can hear what you're saying. And that is so important, because so many people nowadays, I mean, I see it so often, and like, I don't want to say like I've been around. I'm so old. I don't want to be like that. But I mean, when you've been around, when you've seen the way people are, when you've seen how people are,
Yes.
even in families, right? There's that hierarchy in families. There's that in
Mm-hmm.
business.
Yes.
There's that in, like, the cliques in schools and all of that. And it is because of that image that you want to portray. And if you don't have it, if you're that
Correct.
quieter person, if you're the one that, I know this is to be true, and I'm going to stand on my truth, and no one's going to tell me any different. And then people look at you like, yeah, whatever. And they just kind of push you on the side because you're so quiet. I feel what you're saying, because I
Yes.
lived that life. And I come from a family of 6 kids, and I am like the fourth girl down, right? And the thing that happened, is, like, I am already the youngest of all my sisters, and then I get two brothers. So in my family, I ended up being that, really, the one that was kind of small, really, the youngest of the girls.
Yes.
Then brothers come, and even though they're younger than you, it was like my brother, who's like year younger than me. I felt like he was always older than me for some reason, and I would have to remind him, I'm older than you. And
Exactly.
it was like a fight. I Like, he didn't care, you know. I'm older than you, and he's like, yeah, whatever, and he'd do what he wants. And then I have to, like, throw in the threat. I'm gonna tell mom. I'm gonna tell dad, and it's like they would tell me to stop it. I'm like, wait, I'm so confused. So,
I know that.
but
I just have one brother, but
uh,
and he's younger than me, but I think I've definitely experienced what you're describing there of having being the one and having the younger brothers, because yes, younger, but the fact is he's the boy. And he seemed to
yes,
to get away with everything.
yes, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but the leadership and love. I was doing an interview, and one of the guys that I was interviewing, he had a hard time answering the question, because he's like, I don't love my employees, right? Like, he was thinking, how do I love my employees? I don't love my employees. And then as we spoke, we're like, you know, I was asking him about how he treats them, and he's like, "Oh, I just I remind like I'm always like remembering that, oh, how is your mom? I remember that she was sick, or you know oh, congratulations, your son just graduated. I remember, like, and I said,
Yes.
oh, you know so what you're doing is you're
Those are
showing.
expressions of love. Yes.
Yes, yeah. And I said, so that is how, you're caring about them and you're loving them. And he goes, I never looked at it like that. Whenever he heard the word love, he always would think of a romantic sense of love. But no, it is how we
Correct.
respect the other person, how we treat the other person. And he was like, I like this, and so now he looks at things differently, right? Because now he can lead
Yeah.
with love. And I'm like, see, I tell you, everyone walks in aloha in their own way all over the world. But that is so good.
That is that is what is what is so beautiful about this acronym, basically,
Yeah.
because I think leaders, and particularly maybe male leaders as well, and I guess female leaders on in the same sense, for the
Hmm.
opposite sex in their team, they may feel if I show that love or that care, there's danger. It could be misinterpreted. But it's not about, you know, favoritism or anything like that. It's just simply treating the individuals with that care and, as you said, respect, and seeing them as humans, not just a statistic, a member of the team, but as actual humans who have families and loved ones, and they're coming there to do a job, not just for the organization, but for the betterment of their own families, right? So
Yeah.
think about how you can how you can make them comfortable, how you can make them feel appreciated. The more you do that, the more they give, and they don't feel like they're forced to deliver work, but they enjoy delivering the work. So love definitely is part of that entire equation.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. So good. So, the O in aloha is overcoming obstacles. And we all have obstacles at one point or another. Many capable women and leaders in general feel unseen or overlooked. What do you believe is the most dangerous thing a capable woman can do? And how do we break out of that cycle?
Right. So I have to smile with that because I definitely, for my own self, have experienced this. You know, being a capable woman, um, having spent most of her career feeling like she was unseen and she was overlooked, and you know, now when I look back, I say to myself, I wish I knew the things then that I know now, so I would not have had to go through such pain, such agony. But what I believe is breaking any cycle, and in terms of how these women um, respond to situations, it's not something that's easy. It's not like I don't have like one answer that would say this is what you do as a capable woman to overcome. But I look at it from two lenses. One is, if you think of a door, two doors. One door is that of crisis. Sometimes it takes something drastic happening. So a woman who has lost her job, maybe to redundancy, someone who's lost out on a promotion again, right? Somebody who has experienced burnout. Suddenly, she has no choice but to really stop and look and question. And she has to hold that mirror up even though she never wanted to really look in the mirror, now it's there and she has no choice. She has to look what is going on here. It's crisis. I need to have a solution to this. And then there's the other door where it's more proactive. So it's that woman who chooses to look at her situation before life forces her to do it. And maybe it is also because she has come to a point where she stops avoiding that empty feeling. Or it's 11 p.m. at night and she's still up wondering, why is this happening to me? I continue to give my all. I put my hand up all the time. I'm seen as responsible. They need me, but yet every time promotion time comes, I'm overlooked. Every time there's an appraisal, I'm told, be more confident next time. So she gets tired of it now and she starts to become curious. Instead of numbing it, instead of just outrunning it, she says, okay, let me really get my act together. And honestly, Michelle, what I have seen over the last 2 years in particular, and even if I reflect on people I work, women I worked with in corporate, most of the women, when they come in through that second door, sorry, I should say they come through the first door, which is a crisis door, something has happened. Something has forced them into the situation. And they come after the burnout or the redundancy, after they've hit a wall. And I understand why, because I was there as well. Recognition is uncomfortable. Looking in that mirror and facing the fact of what's, who's looking back at you, the gaps that are there, the things that she continue to accept, the fact that she has no boundaries and she just keeps saying yes when she really wants to scream no. That is uncomfortable to deal with. So most times women choose to overlook it. Just stay busy. If I stay busy, I don't have to deal with it. It'll take care of itself. But what I really want to say for every woman, especially who's listening right now, is come through that second door. Be proactive. Don't wait for the breaking point. Because the same signs are already existing within you. It's just that you're choosing not to look at them. And once you stop pushing those signs away and you ask yourself, what is this really telling me about how I have been showing up? Once you're comfortable, that's when own, speak, stand goes from something that is just a concept or a model that I talk about to something that they can see as a path forward. Yes. It's really important. Instead of looking away, you have to face it once and for all and say, I'm ready to do the work.
Yeah, so good, so good. Like coming through that crisis door, you're already setting yourself up to like, I have to perform. Yes. I have to do this. I have to do that, because you're already coming through in that crisis state, right? Your mindset, everything that you're doing, you're walking in and you're like, I gotta do this. And then you're waiting, like you said earlier, waiting for someone else to validate you, waiting for someone else to say something, because you're already looking for that. But if you're coming through the proactive door, now you're showing up ready, right? You're showing up and you're like, no, I know me. I know this is the way I am, and I'm going to act on it. And that is so good.
It is absolutely that. And, for out of respect for my clients, I will not call any names, but I definitely get, as I said, the majority are coming through the crisis
Mhm.
state, but I do get a handful who are proactive. And I cannot tell you what a joy it is to work with those persons, because yes, I'm there and I'm wanting to help both sets. But the ones who are coming in proactive come with a very open mindset.
Yes.
And they're coming to really look within and to do that inner work. And they're coachable. The ones who are coming through the crisis door, as you said, they're coming in and they're already been like flattened. They feel defeated. They feel like there's no other choice now. I'm here. I have to solve this. And therefore, from that approach of I have to solve it, they put this intense pressure on themselves. I must transform. I'm deciding now to get coaching, and I'm in a 3-month program. I must succeed. So it becomes like it's like a course that they're doing. Like, something that they are going to get a score at the end. And I always have to say, ladies, this is not a course, it's not an exam you're writing.
Yeah. Sorry, you froze. So Alicia's frozen right now. Sorry about
Literally
that.
doing the
So good.
work beforehand.
Could you repeat that? I think you're freezing a bit, but it's so good. I need to, I was like all into it, and then I think you froze.
You are breaking, it's breaking up. I'm seeing you frozen now.
Oh, I'm frozen now.
What a thing!
Oh no.
I'm seeing you laughing, but it's really broken up the picture. Can you hear
Okay, yeah,
me?
it was doing the same with you, and I was like so into hearing what you
Oh
were saying,
no.
and then it just broke up. So I'm like, oh no, repeat
I'm not
yourself.
seeing anything on my end that says the internet on my end is down.
Okay.
I'm Can you hear
Okay.
me now?
Yes, yes, I can. But like
Oh,
what you were saying, it's just
I'm not
having
hearing you,
them,
but I'm seeing you.
like having them come
I'm hearing
in.
a lot of like static in the background.
Yes.
Okay,
So good.
the static is off.
Oh, are you there? Okay, I think you're there.
It's
Good?
really
Are we good?
breaking up, Michelle. I can't hear you.
Oh, all right, everyone.
It's
So
totally
sorry.
frozen now.
Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
not seeing anything on my side that says the internet has dropped. I think it might be on your side. I have
Yeah.
all my bars on full.
I know. I'm the same way here. All my bars are here. It is at 100%. So I'm not sure why we're having this glitching. I just think that it's because it is important that people need to hear it. And I'm just going to pray. I'm just going to pray because, Lord God, we're going to get this through. And this is going to be important for someone. Someone needs to hear this. So that is why we're having our challenges. But Lord God, we're going to help us through this. So good. This is too good for it to stop now. Too good. So, yes, overcoming those obstacles, having to be able to come through and not shrink, right? That is the whole thing. It's not shrinking back, not feeling like you needed to be validated at any point or another, just sharing. So, so good. All right. And in Aloha, the health and healing. Oh, Alicia, are you there? I think it's like frozen, frozen. All right, everyone, we will figure this out. Give it a second, give it a second. Oh, she is gone. All right. It says, oh, she put in a chat. I can't hear you. You're frozen. Oh, it's so good. This conversation is so good. It's so important for us to know and hear. I love that. There's too many women in the world who shrink back because, you know, they're overlooked, and if it happened once or twice before, then the next time they feel like, nah, it's okay. It, I didn't get, I didn't get the position, or I didn't do this. Nobody noticed me, and so they choose not to. They choose not to step up, and they choose not to come forward anymore. So that is a hard thing. That is such a hard thing to see, to witness, um, because I've been there. I know what it feels like, and I know what it feels like to allow people to just pass you by or get ahead of you because, oh, I know how it happened before. But we can't keep shrinking back. That's the thing, is that we can't keep shrinking back, because then we are violating that right that I always speak about, Article 19 of the International Declaration of Human Rights, and that is the freedom to express yourself. To express yourself is so important, and expressing yourself isn't just with your voice. It's not just like speaking and talking or anything. Expression is who you are, who you truly are. Um, if you want to express yourself with your music or with your ideas or your creativity, your art, that is the freedom of expression. Freedom of expression. And I am now writing a book called Unmute Yourself, because of exactly what we're talking about. Alicia Fuentes is pointing out is that shrinking back and being, that is something that we need to move away from. And it is okay. It is okay to have that quiet leadership, because you don't have to be performing all the time. You don't have to be loud and out there all the time. It's okay for you to be the one that's like, no, this is important, and I'm going to say it. And like how she said, let it land, right? Let it land. So I don't know where she is, but we are going to wait and let me see. I'm gonna open up Facebook because she was messaging me through Facebook at one point. So hopefully, okay, totally lost you. Um, I'll try back. I'm gonna tell her, can you get back in? Yeah. So she said totally lost you, but she didn't see any issues on her end though. And then she got cut off. So she's gonna try to come back in. There she is. Okay. Oh, letting her in. Let me drop her the link again. Sorry, guys, but thank you so much. This is, like I said, this is real life. This is how it is. But yes, as I was saying, you know, it is a very important topic. Oh, it's saying that it's connecting. So she's having a bit of internet issues on her side, because it's saying it's connecting. But I'm still here. So, okay, we're going to figure it out. And if we have to re-record again at another time, we'll definitely do that because this is so important. I am now fixing the title up in here. From overlooked to unstoppable, leading with calm. Sorry, now that I have Facebook open, all kinds of things are coming in. Okay. All right, everyone. So we are waiting on Alicia Fuentes. And the internet just dropped. But as I said before, from overlooked to unstoppable, leading with calm, living with purpose. That is Alicia. And it has been such an important conversation. I can't tell you enough um, how I know how that is because, like I said, I've lived it. Alicia has. But how many more people have actually dealt with this, right? Okay. It's saying it's connecting and it's circling. Okay. Okay. Um, I'm just letting her know that it must be the internet on her side because I'm still on. I'm still with you. Um, but we might just have to redo this because it is an important topic and I really, really, really want to finish. Excuse me. I really want to hear the rest of what she had to share because right now, I mean, with just what we have, you know, with just what we have, it has been so good. It is important. that, and I know I keep saying how important it is, but it truly is, because there's too many people who hold back, who um a lot of rain. Oh, there's a lot of rain there today. It's okay, it's okay. um okay, so guys, Alicia's having trouble. Oh, wait, she's here. Give me a second. Hello again.
Oh my goodness. I really apologize to everyone because this is crazy
No,
what is
it's
happening
okay.
here.
It's perfectly fine. Um, I was just letting our audience know how important this conversation is, because there are so many people, so many women, especially women, who have chosen to shrink back because of the things
Yes.
that happen, right? Now that they've been overlooked, now that they've been spoken over and being like, made to feel like, I forget it. I'll just maybe try again next time. But they
Yeah.
choose now to shrink. They choose to shrink because of what happened in their past. And one thing that I speak about is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article
Mm-hmm.
19 talks about the freedom of expression and how it is our right to express ourselves. And we don't, like, it's not just our voice in expression, but in our creativity, in our ideas, in, whatever your expression is, your true self. That is what is important. And
Correct.
there's too many people silencing themselves and choosing to violate that right on themselves. And that's one thing I speak about now, is unmute yourself. Right? Unmute yourself. Speak up and speak out, and you don't have to feel like you need to be someone else, because it is your true self, it's your authentic self, that there's somebody out
Yes.
there wanting you, right? They're looking for you. They're not looking for another version of you. They're looking for
Yes,
you.
that is so true.
Yes. And that's why I was like,
Absolutely.
I need
I
you to come back.
Well, I'm so glad that I got back in and I hope I don't get
Yes.
disconnected again. But I love the fact that you said unmute,
Oh,
because actually, unmute is also the name of the newsletter I have on LinkedIn. And
wow.
the word unmute really spoke to me because I have felt that I have been muted for all these years.
Mhm.
Yes, I would be speaking, and sometimes women say to me, Alicia, but I speak, you know, but yes, we speak. We all hope, for those of us who have been blessed with, voice, we speak. But are we speaking our truth? Are
Yes.
we actually saying what we want to say, or are we stifling? Are we holding back? And so often, the women I am working with, they would say to me, well, I spoke in a meeting, but I didn't quite say what I wanted to say. Or they would say something like, when the senior leader came into the room, I didn't say everything that I wanted. I softened. That's the word I hear a lot. I softened what I had to say. And sometimes they don't even recognize that that in itself is not the way it should be. So when I talk to them about standing in their power and advocating, that one is a tough one for them because They feel like they are supposed to just stay quiet, make a contribution. And that's the other thing, Michelle. A lot of women who we may classify as quiet or shy or introverted, it's not a confidence issue so much. It's not that I don't have anything to say. They have a lot to say, but they have been battered. I would put it that way. So much by bosses, by peers, that they just shrink. And one woman said to me, she was looking at a video, a recording, and she said, I can see myself like getting this way in the meeting. Like she was physically shrinking and didn't even realize it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is sad,
It's
because
a real dilemma we have.
yeah, that is so, I mean, for her to see a video of herself, I think in a way it's good, right? Because a lot of times we don't get to see that outside look on ourselves, but everyone else around us
Yes.
do, right? Everyone else sees it. And so, can you imagine if there's, you're sitting in a room, uh, of leaders, or you're sitting at the table and everyone's talking and you're the one shrinking, right? And everyone else can see that. And you don't
Can
even
see
realize it
it.
for yourself, right? You don't realize it for yourself that you're doing it, but for her to see it, and like she said in the video, seeing herself
Yeah.
literally shrinking, that is empowering, because you're like, no, now be conscious about sitting up, be conscious about holding your presence there.
Correct.
Yeah. So good.
Correct.
So good. That's why sometimes, like, even though the bad things, you may think that, oh no, that was so bad. If you can flip the script, if you can take what that was and flip it, then it is now empowering. It's the ones that, like you said, comes through the
Absolutely.
crisis door. They see that and they're like, oh, I'm never going to do that again and I'm leaving, you know? And so they
That's it.
shrink. Yeah, right? And they shrink even further away. I believe, I believe that there are so many that are not being heard, not being seen
Mhm.
because of that choosing, right? And you're like, no,
Yes.
no, there's people out there waiting for you. There's people out there just
Yeah.
needing you, your experiences, your stories, your words, right? Like I say all the time, my stories, my way, my presence can resonate with one person and not another. So,
Mm-hmm.
what if the persons that shrinking away, the people that are shrinking away, those are the people that need to be brought forward, and they need to be
Yeah.
out there, because that is somebody's link. That is somebody's perfect fit. And they're shrinking
Absolutely.
away.
Absolutely.
So I just love what
And
you're
and
doing.
that's the
You
thing, when
know, yes,
when we when we believe that we need to be there for everybody, and people pleasers tend to do that. We think we have to please everybody, but
yeah,
we've got to recognize that that is not possible. There'll be some people who resonate with you and others who just don't, but it's not that you need to keep shifting yourself, or changing yourself based on who is in that space with you. Just be
correct.
real, just be yourself.
Yeah. I always say, stop trying to fit into their box. Right?
Correct.
Stop trying to change everything of you and fit into their box. Because when you do that, you
I
give them
totally agree.
all the power, right? You give them all the power, because if now
Yes.
you're fitting yourself into their box, they can do with you what they will, right? But if you stand
Yeah.
on your own and you are, you know, that quiet leader, then you're like, no, I'm good where I am, and accept
Yes,
me for who I am, because
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so good, so good. So let's carry on. The H in Aloha is health and healing. And I know for women, for a lot, I always say women, but maybe there's some men out there. We have a tendency to look at everything, everyone else, and then we forget about ourselves. So operating in that high stakes environment can take its toll. And I know, and you probably know the same, but what did you have to unlearn or heal from
Mm.
to lead from a place of calm instead of pressure?
You know, it's a really interesting question, and I think it's only a very short time ago that I recognized the power of unlearning.
Mm,
I never thought about it, never thought about it until I must have heard someone say it, in some session or something. And I started to think about it, and I realized that for me, what I had to unlearn was actually the belief that my worth was something that I had to perform. I didn't own that worth, not internally. I never felt that my worth was really linked to the quality of the work that I do. Because for all those years, because I felt that naturally I wasn't aggressive, I wasn't this loud person, I didn't feel that I can be the leader based on my own presence, my own worth. So I thought that worth was connected to performance. The more I
mm,
performed, the more they would see me as valuable. So I had to unlearn that, because that's actually how I succeeded, in inverted commas, how I succeeded in my corporate life. It really was performance, not in a disgenuine way. Some people do perform, and in their mind, they believe they are doing it authentically, because you're not coming from a devious way, a manipulative way. But it's a performance in the sense that it's taking a lot out of you. And for introverted people, especially, that is what drains us. So I go to a town hall where it's all the staff, and we have to network and mix and mingle. There's performance happening there for me. I get through it. But then when I go home, I have to decompress for hours, maybe for days, right? So I did interact with people, I did engage genuinely, but it was such an intense, it was filled with so much anxiety, but I had to maintain composure. But the recovery part of that is what others don't see. So that was the belief I had to unlearn, that I always had to do that. And when you are a people pleaser, that is you telling yourself this story over and over, that that is what you are, and that quiet means you are less. So you have to try to overwork and over prepare, because your natural strength, your natural presence is not what is going to get you recognized. So healing had two separate pieces for me. One, because I had fused basically my identity and my behavior. When things went wrong, I would just naturally blame myself. I would link it to, I'm not enough, I'm not a good enough leader, I'm not strong enough, I'm not resilient enough. And I would not ask myself the questions about the people who were involved or the situation. I would just automatically blame myself. So learning to lead from a calm place instead of under pressure meant learning to pause and really internalize, the blame itself. Question, is this actually about my competence here, or is it something else? Instead of just immediately blaming myself and saying, well, yeah, here it is again, you've messed up. They said you would not be able to do this well, and you proved them correct. So that shift of unlearning there, that was not easy. Michelle, that was not easy. And I cannot say that it's smooth every day, in that sense. It comes back at time, but it requires deep inner work. It's that, what we call, I guess, people, if they are coaches looking, they would be familiar with the term inner child work. It's that inner child work, which I couldn't do by myself. I had to get a coach to help me, so the coach, prayer, as I said, meditation, a lot of quiet reflection. Those were the things that really helped me um, move past and be able to unlearn and to heal.
Yeah,
And it's an ongoing process, for sure.
that is so good, because I can see and I know that so many people tie in performance with their own worth. And when you do that, you really are setting yourself up, because whenever you can't perform, whether it is because you're just burnt out, you're exhausted,
Yes,
then your worth goes down, right? Because you're
very true.
tying it into your performance. But when your worth comes from inside, and you know that no matter what, no matter if you're just having a bad day, or you don't judge that part of you, your worth
Yes,
does not diminish because someone spoke over you, someone someone looked at you wrong. you
correct.
know you're not looking at that,
Yes.
because you know who you are. And I'm, like I said, I'm a Christian, and I know that I'm a daughter of the King, and that's how I look at it. And there was a time when I didn't have that solid foundation of my own self-worth, coming from a domestic violence relationship. I felt unworthy a lot of times. And that's the control. When you're in that kind of relationship, they make you feel that so that they can have control over you. And so now, now that I know who I am and whose I am, I I don't think that there's anyone. I mean, I feel there's so much freedom in it, because I'm like, no, I know who I am, and I know whose I am, and my worth is not tied into my performance. It's not tied into any person, because a lot of times people do that too, where they tie their worth into a person or into a title, right? Who
Yes.
am I if I'm not
Yes.
this? Who am I if I'm not the president of my company? Or, who am I now? Well, you're the same person. You're the same person. And as long as I think, if people can really sit with that and be authentic enough to say, I am worthy whether or not I have this job. I am worthy whether or not I have this title, because I know who I am. And, that is so good. Like how you
I
say,
I
tying
had
it.
definitely, I really want to commend you on that those statements.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had a lot of challenges this evening with this podcast, with me and my internet. But if I had to say that there was something that I needed to hear today, that I needed to be on this podcast today for, is
Mhm.
exactly what you just said. Not just about who I am, but whose
Yes.
I am. Because I love how you are proud and courageous to say I'm a Christian. And I've had to question that my own self. I am a Christian, but I've found that even in my own journey over these last 2.5 years and trying to build this personal brand and all of that, I am not seeing myself featuring God. And I've had to question that. Is it because there's a performance piece that's happening? Or I feel that if I show that side of me, people are going to move away. And it has been an internal battle. And the piece around what you tie your worth to, I would have definitely gone through that the first year, maybe even into the second year after losing my job. Because while I would have considered myself all those years to be a humble person, I really questioned it after, because I lost my job, the title, the major oil and gas company, all the perks. And then I started to question, well, who am I? Who is Alicia? And the answer that I got, well, it was what I would have been told in the company by certain individuals that made me feel diminished. But then I had heard that so long that I believed it. And I
Yeah.
forgot whose I am. Who actually is the one I belong to. I forgot that. And it has been a journey getting back in touch. I mean, he's always been there every step of the way, but I feel like I have not been as close to him as I needed to, even though he's not abandoned, not 1 second. So I'm feeling a little emotional right now.
Oh.
But thank you very much for saying that. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. I think there's a lot of people who needs that reminder, and it wasn't something that I just came. It, like you said, it was. There's times when we go through things, and it's hard. It's hard to relearn. It's hard to unlearn some of the things. And as I came out of that domestic violence relationship, I felt like I wasn't worth anything. My words weren't worth anything. I wasn't worth anything. And it's like, how could I get to that position where I allowed someone to do so much
Yes.
damage to me physically, mentally? You know, there there was a point, excuse me. There was a point where we were in church and I raised my hand in praise, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
literally put my hand down in the middle of service, right? And I looked at him and he goes, "You're embarrassing me. Put your hand down."
Oh no.
And I was like, and I questioned me. I didn't look at him like how you were saying. I didn't look at
Yes.
him like it was something that was wrong with him. I looked at myself and I was like, "Oh, sorry." Right? I was sorry. Like, "I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
embarrassing you." And then I thought about that and I was on another podcast and it was someone else's podcast. He's in Washington State. And I told him that, and he was like, "Oh, what?" And he's a guy, right? So when I
Yes.
was telling him that, he was like, "What?" Okay, you know what I just heard? And he was telling me, he goes, "Not only did he stop you, but he was actually stopping your praise to God." And I was
And the
like,
and the fact that he's in the church, you
"Yeah."
know, doing that, it's like, then why are you even there?
Well, he was there because of me, actually. Yeah, because he never went to church before until we were together, right?
Yes.
But I was like, And then I always felt like I had to keep my hand down in order for him to stay in church and come to church with me,
Right.
right? And so that was like the that
Like a
medium place,
trade
the
off.
trade off. Yes, it was the trade off.
Yeah.
I'll keep my hand down. I won't praise the way that I normally praise, so you can come to church with me.
So you
And that was so wrong. And it's like,
yeah.
to get to that point, once I was safe, once I was out, I had to relook at everything. How I allowed people to control what I really wanted to do, right? That control, like, no, no, I know who I am, I know whose I am, and I want to praise God this way, and I'm gonna do it. And I had to realize, like, no, those are the things that we need to stand up for, to be our true,
Yes.
authentic selves and not shy away from anything that makes us who we are. Because if we
Correct.
can't live
Absolutely
fully,
agree.
if we can't live 100% ourselves, then who are we? Right? Then we're making ourselves lesser so that we can fill it with something else or somebody else.
Somebody
And
else. That's true.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, oh, so good. I mean, I'm like, God is good. And for me to be bold enough to stand my ground with my faith, I can only give it back to God. There is no way that I
Yes.
would be who I am or how I am if I didn't ask for things. Like, I would pray, and I was training with one person and they were talking, like talking about, like, not talking about God. And I worried about it because even with TEDx, they don't want you to talk about religion. And I was like,
Right. I know that.
how do I
Yes.
do this then? How do I succeed in this area if I can't speak my truth? And then we met Jerry.
Exactly.
Jerry, Jerry Rosenthal, and he is amazing because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He will speak
Yeah.
of God. And I'm like, that is a gift because I prayed for it. And this was before Jerry came. I prayed, and then I
Very
actually
true.
left for a little while so that I could train with a Christian speaker because I felt
Mm-hmm.
like, this is how I have to do it. I can't be where I want to be because it has this um, ceiling of you can't speak about God. And then when I trained with another speaker, she's a Christian speaker, I learned that she is now speaking with women on the street. She goes into strip bars and things like that to help those women because she has been there.
Yeah.
I thought, how can I, knowing that my past can help someone else out, shy away from those who may need to hear me? And so I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to continue to speak on the fact that I am a Christian. I'm not going to push my
Yes.
religion on anyone to change them, but I am going to show them who I am and how I got to where I am.
Yeah.
And I believe that that is the last A in Aloha, that acute awareness, that awareness that we need to have in ourselves and in our environment, and the fact that
Absolutely.
we can learn from other people, we can do the things, but allowing God to work in everything that I do and giving it to Him and being like, this is all you. You lead me, you guide me, I trust you. And it happens because I have, He has never failed me yet, you know?
And he
So,
never will. He never
yes,
will.
and He never
Absolutely.
will. He never will. But yes, that last A in Aloha is acute awareness. And your calm authority model. is built on lived experiences, not
Yes.
theory. And that's one thing that I love, because that is how we can be that genuine, authentic person to show someone else, because we're not just talking, we're telling them what we literally lived through.
Exactly.
So good. So, what are the key indicators someone is stepping into that common authority? And how can they begin to recognize that within themselves?
So before I even framed, the term calm authority model, I really
Mhm.
started to think about what are those indicators, as you rightly asked there. How are we going to know? Because I believe in any transformation, anything that we want to embody, we should be able to measure it. We should be able to visibly see something tangible that we can really say, okay, yes, I've, I'm walking this, I'm living this. And it's not just some sort of theory or nice to have. And in the calm authority model, I would have shared it along the way today. I talk about own your presence, speak with impact, and stand in your power. So when I look at the indicators as such, I always I always base it on these three areas. So the first one being own is about your internal authority. And everything we spoke about today about how, you know, you can be yourself, really own who you are. So you know that you are functioning in that space when you stop needing to explain or justify who you are. So if I say I am a quiet, introverted leader, I don't have to cringe when I say introverted or quiet. I don't need to apologize. So many of the women who come forward say to me, for all these years, I've been asked, why am I so quiet? What is wrong with you? Why don't you speak more in meetings? And they've had to wear quiet as some sort of weakness, as something that is they're deficient in, right? And I really feel that you should not have to apologize. So when the pull to apologize eases up, it quiets. You are really seeing yourself owning, right? Where you could sit in that meeting and you can say one thing and be comfortable and not second guess it. That is very, very important, right? With Speak with Impact, now this one, a lot of people get surprised with this because they hear Speak with Impact and they think, well, Alicia, again, I'm already speaking, or Alicia, I'm quiet. I don't know if I can speak with impact. But speak with impact doesn't mean that you need to be louder. It is simply saying that when you speak, people listen. And one of the challenges a lot of women face is because of that people pleasing, they try to over explain. And therefore, they speak more and they repeat things and it becomes confusing. And that's why people look at them like, well, okay, I don't understand, or, you didn't get the point. But if people are repeating what you say, or if somebody comes at the end of a talk and say, that really landed, that to me is a sign or an indicator that you are shifting, you are speaking with impact. And the last one, which is, I would say, the toughest one to truly embody, is standing your power, because it takes the most courage to really step in and advocate, whether it is for yourself or for someone else, especially if it creates friction, if it means you're challenging or opposing someone else. That takes a lot of courage. But the fact that you can do it and you can not beat yourself up after, not second guess, that says you are moving in the right direction to stand in your power. But most of all, Michelle, in even with the three of those things working in tandem, it's the internal piece that is most critical. It's that piece where that constant sort of low grade anxiety that normally exists, when that quiets down, when you're not asking yourself, am I good enough? Or am I too much? Or am I, suitable for this? When that gets quiet, even if it's a little bit, that tells you you are no longer performing calm authority, but you are actually living it. So I always say it's the intersection of all three, that little intersection piece. Like if you think three pie charts, no, pie graph, what do you call it? Yeah, the circles. Got it.
Yeah.
Pie chart, yeah, the Venn diagram. Venn diagram. The intersection there is calm authority. So you need all three to really be able to walk or to live in calm authority. You can't say, well, I own my presence, but I'm not able to speak, or I can't stand in my power. Otherwise, you're really just performing. And I think it's the it's the one danger I have recognized with a lot of programs, a lot of coaches, not saying anything bad about anybody, but I think when you have especially quiet women or introverted or shy women, and you are telling them, go and be more confident, right? Speak up louder, speak more. That is just creating panic for them. And it's not dealing with them owning who they really are and embracing that, feeling proud to say, I am quiet. So what? That doesn't make me less. That doesn't mean I can't be a leader. There is such a thing as a quiet leader, and quiet leaders are just as powerful.
Yes, that is so, so true. The one person that I think of when you say quiet leader is Mother Teresa.
Yes.
Yes, because look at what she's done for the world
Correct.
and the things that she had, the people she's impacted, the lives. Just I don't know her personally, but that is one person that I think of when you talk about quiet leadership because she
Exactly.
has changed the world and she doesn't have to be loud. She doesn't have to be performing.
Yeah.
And like she said, for you to start, you need to start at home. You need to start
Yeah.
here. And, that is one thing that it is so, when you said all those things need to work together, and the one that intersecting is that peace.
Yes. Correct.
Because if you can, like you said, if you can have that peace, and even if it's just a little bit, but you're realizing, I walked out of that meeting and I'm okay. I'm not worried about it. I'm not thinking about it until, days or weeks from now. Did I
Yes.
do everything? Did I do this right? Did it land? Do they even care? Right? You're not worried
Correct.
about that. You're not worried about that. And in that piece, I believe that if more people can find that place where all of that intersects and
Mm-hmm.
they find that peace, you are able to grow even further because
Yes.
now you're not worried and you're not holding yourself back, but you're moving forward because you're like, that was good. Let's continue.
Yeah. And
Right?
if I may say this, Michelle, I really, really, truly believe from our conversation today and from all my interactions with you, you embody calm authority. You really, truly do. I see it in terms of owning your presence, speaking with impact, and advocating. Well, advocating means standing your power. I have seen you demonstrate all three of these things consistently. So, you are a role model for calm authority, really and
Thank
truly.
you.
And I feel absolutely honored to be on the podcast with somebody who embodies what I am truly advocating for, for every woman to have.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you that you say that because, like I said, it hasn't always been, right? And that's one thing that it's okay. People need to understand that it's okay.
Exactly.
If you're not there yet, it doesn't mean that you'll never get there, you know? And if they can sit with someone like you, if they can sit with you and learn your methods and be like, I am a quiet person, but I want more. I want to be able to feel this
Yes.
peace that you're talking about and be able to, live boldly without performance, right? You want to live
Mm-hmm.
boldly. You want to be able to stand in your power, like you said. And there's so many people
Yeah.
who need that help. And you can't, like you said, you can't do it by yourself. You need a coach, you need someone there to help you.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't because it's like if you,
You can't do you.
yeah, because if you
No,
don't
sorry
know,
for
yeah,
I know there's a little lag.
if you don't know something, right? If you don't know, or like how that lady that you spoke of, she didn't see herself shrinking in her space. If she didn't see that, a coach is able to point that out, not in a
Yes.
harsh way, but in a knowing way, like, okay, I'm hearing this from you, right? You're able to hear that because you've been through it, and you're able to tell that other person, I'm hearing this, and this is something that you're going to need to work on because I can sense that in you, that this is a part you're shrinking right now. And it's okay because if you don't have someone, it's like working out at the gym, right? You have a trainer, you have
Right.
someone there. If you're lifting wrong and if you're doing this, you can be doing it for a long time
Harm to
and not
yourself.
getting the result because you're doing it wrong. And there's
Wrong.
nothing
Correct.
wrong with asking for help, you know? It's not a weakness to ask for help. It's not. If I didn't have somebody else step into my situation, I wasn't there. I wasn't
Yeah.
willing to ask for help. I was so stuck in the silence of domestic violence that I wasn't asking nobody. But it was a doctor that noticed it in me. It was through him, and he asked me, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." Right? That's what we do. And it was because the abuser
Yeah.
was right there, and I couldn't say anything. And so I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then he said, "Do you want him to wait outside?" And I said, "No, he can come in because you just don't say no." And so he came in and everything was, and that doctor visit went fine. It went, and we left. The next time I came in, the doctor said, "You'll wait outside, she'll be back." And I was like, "Oh no, you don't know what you just did." And I felt so much fear, right? Like, oh boy. And when he had me alone, he said, "Are you okay?" And I didn't want to answer because I didn't want to say, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I felt like I'm by myself. I can say, but do I say? Do I tell the truth? And then everything in me just broke and I started crying. And I was like, no. And he said he knew it from the last time. And so he needed to ask. And he said, we can have him escorted out right now. And I was like, no, no. Um, because I had family living in our house, right? My roof wasn't just for me and him. There was other people living with us. I couldn't jeopardize anyone
Yes.
else. And so I was like, no. And so he said, then we're going to do this. I'm going to get you help. I'm going to get you, you're going to talk to a psychologist. We're going to work this out. You're going to get the help that you need. And no matter how you need it, you're going to get it. Like if it needs to be done in secret, you come here, you're coming to the doctor, but then you go and see the psychologist. Whichever way you need it, you're going to get this help. And it was through someone else recognizing that I wasn't there to take care of myself. And so when we ask for help, when we seek out a coach, when someone comes to you and say, I hear what you're saying, I know what you do, and I think you can help me. It's not a weakness. It's something that we truly need, and we need to be okay with asking for that help. So I have to say thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for advocating for women who have been silenced for too long.
Yes.
For
You're welcome.
those, for speaking up and having them say, it's okay. It's okay that you're a quiet person. Don't apologize for who God made you to be. So, thank you for you.
Very, very true. You're welcome. You're welcome. I really believe there should be more forum available for this type of conversation, because yes, I encounter a lot of women in this space, but so many of them are not ready, I would say. I don't want to say not willing, because I think deep down inside they want the help, but they have they are making so many excuses to not get that help. And typically it's because they don't see that they deserve it. The person who thinks I'm not good enough doesn't see that she is worthy of seeking that help. She knows something is off. She can feel it. She's smart enough to recognize it. She sees that she is continuously giving more and more at work, and everyone sees her as a reliable one. They come to her, but yet she keeps getting bypassed. She's smart enough to see that. But in her mind, everybody else deserves more, and therefore, even when it comes to going, whether it's free coaching and recognizing, okay, I was able to get a small shift over these few days. Now it's time to take a step forward and go the full length of the journey. She still believes, no, I can't give this time. I can't, invest in myself. I need to do for the rest of the family, etc., etc. And it's really that it's a sad situation when you see that the person is identifying all the challenges. She's fully aware, but she doesn't have that strength, that courage to say, let me do this for me.
Right.
That's the piece that really breaks me,
Right. Because like
you
you
know?
said, the worth. If she doesn't see herself as worth it, then why would you invest in something, right? There has to be a value, like I am valuable
Yes.
enough to invest in me. And that is this
Yeah.
that is the core of what change is on, right? That is how change is made.
Correct.
Is when she says, I am valuable enough to invest in me. Until then, we help. We be
Correct.
there, right? And we kindly
That's
show her
it.
that you are worth it. You are worth it. And one day, with prayer
Yeah.
and God's help, we are able to lift that person into that place. So, yes, I
That's
totally
true.
agree. It is the worth.
Absolutely.
So good, so good. So, my studio is part of the garage. I took half the studio for the garage. Yeah. from the ground. So when they bring in the car, this is what we deal with. One second, one second.
Multifunctional.
It is. It's a lot easier for me to control the sound um, than being in the house, right? So out here, I'm
Right.
able to do this, except for when this. But this has been such a great conversation. And like you said, there should be more forums for people to do or to share, because
Yeah.
I think it's in that sharing that they can find themselves in other people. Because a lot of times when we
Mm-hmm.
come out, it's like that mile mile minute or minute mile. Look at my voice. The one that they were like, oh, able to run a mile, right? Or a minute mile.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say it. I
Yes.
totally forgot. But after that, then it was possible, right? So we are able to make it possible for people by sharing and letting them
Correct.
know that yeah, we've experienced it, we've gone through it, gone through the hard things. We It wasn't easy from the beginning. It was a choice that we had to make. It was something that we had to
Yes.
do, but it's not impossible, right? It's not impossible for us to do those things. And having that for other women is so important. Having that time to be like vulnerable, right? I think that's what it is. It's that vulnerability to be able to say, you know what, I
It is
don't know.
vulnerability.
Yeah, yeah, and to be able to say, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't,
It
this is
is.
how I felt. This is what happened in this meeting, and I felt like I just failed it. Right? I mean, it's okay to say that. And then to have somebody say, "Well, tell me what you said. Let's hear it." And then you're like, "Oh, you know what?
Correct.
That was perfectly fine the way you said it. Don't apologize for that." And we don't want just the yes people that keep agreeing with everything that we say just to make us feel better. Nothing like that. But to truly and be like, no, I understand. And it's okay.
Yeah.
I just think that there's a lot where people are making other people feel like it's not okay. And so
Mm-hmm.
they tend to shrink. But what you're doing right now and what you're sharing with people, those are the things that needs to be out there in the world more. And that is why I actually created this platform, is so that I open the door for other people to share on the podcast, share what they want to share their programs, share their ideas,
Yes.
because you never know who's listening. And as of now, um, the podcast goes out to like I think 17 other platforms, and so you never know who's on
That's
those.
huge.
Yeah. And so that's why I think it is so important to have these conversations, to have people, like yourself on the show. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast, because this has been so good despite of the glitches. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Wow. Talk about glitches. Yes, definitely. This, I think in the past, if I really didn't have that calm authority, I would be a mess right now. I would be messaging you and telling you, let's just forget this, please. Stop, recording, or, stop airing this live, because, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've come to realize it's how we approach these little glitches, these sort of mishaps that happen. How do we really approach it in a grounded way, and we even find fun out of it. We laugh about it, because sometimes we do take ourselves too seriously. um, but more than that, you mentioned previously, you talked about, people being women being afraid to like fail. And that's the other thing, right? We've really been brought up in this way that failure is something that we've got to avoid at all costs. But I've learned through failure some of the best lessons in my life, and really being able to view those things, not be afraid to dig deep and find out what the root causes are. I think because my background is health and safety, as someone who would have had to investigate accidents, which are failures, but really trying to understand why did those things happen. You realize you get valuable lessons out of those, and you have the opportunity to improve. So whenever I fail now, I look at it as, okay, it didn't go as I wanted. It didn't, I made a mistake. I messed up here. What is it that I did? And I'm learning every day to be gentle with myself and gentle with others as well, because I've definitely been tough on other people around me in the past. Very tough. So
Yeah.
it works both ways. So you can have more harmony in that sense as well, and everybody can improve in the long run.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. And I've been through life, right? I mean, we all have, but to think that our failures are just a stepping stone to learning something new, like you said, right? And this whole thing, like when things go wrong, I would have been a mess also. But now I look at it like, you know what? Life happens. Life happens. And if we always stop and lose ourselves when life happens, that's going to be so hard. Oh, and we lost Alicia right at the ending. So let's try again getting her back. Oh, my eye. Something. Eye. Okay. See. Sorry, everyone. We're still having glitchy issues, but this conversation has been so good, and so important. So, one thing, if there's anything that I would want you to take away from this, is the fact that you are you. God created you to be who you are, and you don't have to apologize for you. You being you may not be what someone else wants. It may be that this other person is going to look at you and be like, oh, I don't like you. Then it's okay. It's okay. There's a lot of people in this world. And as we always say, I may resonate with one person, my story may resonate with one person and not another. But there is someone who is truly, honestly praying for you. Oh, she is back. Hi there again.
Hi there again. It happened again.
Yes, but that's okay. This has been such an amazing time with you, and it's perfectly fine. Like we
Thank
both
you
said,
so much.
at one point in our lives, this would have been such a hard thing. It would have been like, oh no, I'm gonna just stop already.
Michelle, I would tell you just maybe less than 2 years ago, I would have faced things like this where I'm trying to connect on my Facebook group for a live. I have a session that I'm going to do, and this happens, and there are people waiting, and my internet is down, and I would go into a panic state. And now I cannot believe that I am feeling still composed, a little embarrassed, but still composed. So I
this
think I think it's also about feeding off the energy of the other person as well. So you being calm and remaining, comfortable with it and not making it a big issue, I am able to also stay calm and comfortable.
that is so good. But one thing that I want to ask you right now before we close,
Mm-hmm.
if there is something that you could leave with the audience, something that you would want them to take away, what would that be?
Yes. So I mean, we've shared so much on this session, and I know people can be. I know what it is to sit in the seat of a woman, especially who's listening to this and probably thinking, "Oh yeah, they're talking about these things, and they don't know what I am going through. They've not they've not dealt with it, even though they say they've been through it." What I want to say is, you were never the problem. You were always the solution they could not see yet. I really, truly believe that. But I want to go one step further because I believe that the persons who listen to podcasts, especially, sometimes they can feel very energized from a podcast, and they're listening to things and thinking, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to make that call, I'm going to, take a note of this. And then they come off the podcast and life just continues. Kids are screaming, there's dinner to prepare, whatever is happening, there's a work call to attend to. The truth that I want persons to really take away from this is that recognizing that you were not the problem, you were the solution all along, isn't going to change anything on its own. Recognizing it, getting it into your system, that's good. But inspiration without action is just another feeling that we have and we just let it pass. So I'm not gonna let the persons viewing this just walk away being inspired and having this feeling today, but I want them to leave with something more. So for everyone who is listening, I just simply want you to pick one moment in the coming days, whether it is a meeting where you usually stay quiet, maybe it's a conversation that you need to have with someone that you're a little afraid, you're afraid to set the boundary, you already kind of know that you're going to back down. Maybe it's a decision that you prefer to defer. Whatever that moment is do one small thing differently. You know, I don't want to say push yourself, but allow yourself, give yourself the permission to do one thing different. It might mean that you might still not hold that boundary, but if it is that normally you give up in 5 seconds, allow yourself to hold for 10 seconds. Just do something different, because that is where own, speak, stand really come into play. And you don't transform overnight. Everything you've heard Michelle and I speak about today didn't happen overnight. It There was a lot of pain, a lot of agony, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of coaching that we ourselves had to go through, right? But you also don't need a complete overhaul. You don't need a personality change. You just need one micro step. And I always say to persons who come forward for support, I am not going to put you out there and say, go and do this drastic thing, which you have been afraid of all along. You know, you're going to run away from me if I do that. I believe in micro steps. And I believe it's not one big leap, but it's small, deliberate moments that a woman chooses to not shrink in. It's those small, deliberate moments that are going to get her the transformation. So just pick one simple, small moment this coming week, and don't let the time you spent with the listen to this podcast, don't let it go to waste in that sense.
That is so good. Yes. We don't want to just drop a bomb on anyone. It's those
At
small
all.
little micro steps. And that is what that changes. It changes every small step you make in that right direction is what will continuously create change. So it's standing
Very true.
still. It's standing still. You're never going to get anywhere. It's falling back. You're going to have a hard time. As Alicia said, don't let this just go to the wayside. Great
Yeah.
inspiration, and then it passes. Take that small step. It is so important to do those little things. Oh, Alicia, thank you so much for bringing all of this out, for sharing everything in such clarity, and the truth in our conversation was amazing. So,
Thank you.
your
Thank you
message,
so much.
you're welcome, you're welcome. Your message is a reminder that leadership doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It just has to be aligned and true. It's in that authenticity that we have that can cause so much change in the world. And as I said, Mother Teresa didn't have to be loud, and neither do you. So, to everyone listening, if this episode spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. It is in this sharing, it is in that permission that we give other people to change, to help someone else out in just that simple kindness. So share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And if you're ready to step into the coaching, reach out to Alicia. Pick up, you know, where pick up what she put down. That's what I'm trying to say. Pick up
Yes.
what she put down. It's so important that we do that. But how can people stay connected with you?
Yes. So there's a I'm on Facebook. If they check my name, Alicia Fuentes, and maybe once this is I can go into the comment section and put the direct link. They can do that. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. And I do have a community on school. So if there are any women out there, that this resonates with, it's a free community on school, the platform school, where we get together. It's a small community right now, but we love having more people join because we share the struggles. We, support each other. There are lots of nice things in the classroom in there that you can just come and be part of it with us. But definitely send me a message, reach out on any of those platforms, and we can have a conversation. I love having those conversations. No pressure, it's not salesy. It's just real human connection, understanding, and supporting each other.
That's beautiful. I will get all of that and I will put it in the show notes. So once we're done here, you'll be able to find it. I'll put Alicia's information in there. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for sticking with us, even though we had glitches. But it doesn't matter. It is the power of what we've said and what we've shared that can change lives. So it's not in backing down when things get hard. It is continuing
Exactly.
because that is the way life is. But thank you again, all,
Yes.
for just joining us. And until next time, thank you, Alicia, for being amazing. Until next time,
You're welcome.
everyone.
And thank you.
You're so welcome. You're
Thank you for
so
being a
welcome.
great hostess.
You're welcome. Until next time, everyone, this is Michelle and Alicia on the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast. So we will see you all on the next one. Ahui ho.